and we've been working for more than a year in crafting legislation within the confines of the Constitution on foot of the People's Decision at the end of 2011. We're very close to having that accepted by the Oireachtas now. It's gone through parliamentary scrutiny since the end of last year. And I think the general view within government and across the country is that we want an inquiry up and running. The issue of whether we need to revisit the referendum, I think, is a separate question, but I don't think that should get in the way of establishing the inquiry under the current norms of the Constitution. For my own part, I feel very strongly that it is possible to have a robust inquiry without finding culpability, because what people want is to know all the facts, and we can call, I think, all the principles involved in the run-up to the faithful guarantee to give sworn evidence and to answer questions directly, and I think that will contextualise things.
When will you decide on calling another referendum?
Well, that's, as I said, it's a separate issue. And my focus is to get the legislation that we've been working on since the people have made a decision on the referendum, to get that enacted. And I think that is the focus of the people generally.
So it's not a priority?
As I said, the first priority for me, and I think the view of the government strongly, is that we need to get the legislation that we've carefully worked on, that is robust, that is very thorough, that will be the framework for a good inquiry system, not only into banking, but into inquiries generally, to get that enacted, and that will happen within the next fortnight. And after that, we will look at other issues. I think it'll be a matter for the Oireachtas itself too, to ensure that it has the trust of the people to do this sort of work. And I think there was doubts cast during the referendum whether they should give this additional power. So in a way, how the Oireachtas steps up to the plate in terms of dealing with the banking inquiry will determine whether the people, I think, will give additional powers of inquiry to members of the Oireachtas.
So what sort of assurances could you give the people so that they might support a second referendum on that issue? Well,
I think, as I said, it'll be the robustness, the thoroughness, the professionalism, and how the inquiry itself is conducted. I think that will be the biggest assurance people will have. That my belief has been always that the Irish Parliament is no different to any other parliament in terms of its ability and capacity to do the people's business and have inquiries, the same as Westminster does, the United States Congress does, or any other European parliament does.
So just to be clear, you're not bringing a memo to Cabinet then next week for a rerun of a referendum in the autumn?
No, there was never any question of that.
Personally, would you like to see another referendum?
But that's a matter, as I said, the people...
Personally,
I argued strongly for this additional power because I'm a passionate believer in Parliament. But I understood the arguments that were put, that to allow members of the Oireachtas to come to conclusions of culpability and find adversely against individuals is a big ask of people, and we need to prove that we can do that. So let's work within the determination of the people now, and that is the current constitutional provision, and after that we'll make a view, and I think determine whether it's necessary in the first instance and appropriate in the second instance to run a second inquiry, or second referendum.